Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to IIFL Securities Q2 FY22 earnings conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to the management. Over to you.
Thank you and good evening, friends. This is R. Venkatraman. I am the Managing Director, and along with me are Ronak Gandhi, and Anup Verghese, who looks after investor relations. Thank you for joining for the second quarter FY22 analyst call for IIFL Securities. I also take this opportunity to pray and hope that all your near and dear ones continue to remain safe. The Indian economy is seeing a swift recovery from the impact of the second wave. We are well placed on the path of recovery thanks to the rapid vaccination rollout. I think today we completed 100 crores vaccinations. This has enabled our economy to navigate the second wave of COVID-19 quite successfully. Our industry, which is broking, has also got a boost due to digitization and the fact that many people from tier 2, tier 3 locations are also get into trading and investing activities. This makes me believe that potential for growth for our sector is quite huge. Our markets are also currently in a bull market, and every day we expect the ever elusive correction on the anvil. Liquidity continues to remain strong with participation from all kind of investors, including foreign, local mutual fund, insurance, and last but not the least, retail investors and family offices. As I have articulated our strategy in the past also, it continues to remain the same. Our strategy continues to be built on research, technology and talent. We have an edge in capital markets because of our research and understanding of economy and corporates and markets, and that helps our business lines directly because all our business lines are focused around the capital markets. We continue to scale up our efforts to acquire customers and aim to give them a better and holistic trading experience. As you are aware, we have broadly 3 revenue streams. Retail, which is targeted at mass market, tech-savvy customers, and we not only offer them broking, but also other products like mutual funds, insurance, PMS, AI, etc. on an open architecture model. The other line of business is, of course, institutional broking. We are the port of first call for most investors, thanks to our extremely strong research credentials. We are one of leading domestic institutional brokers. And third is investment banking, where again we are focused more on equity capital markets, IPO and QIB. And in this segment, we are uniquely placed because we are one of the few bankers on street who can fill 3 buckets of the IPO construct: retail, institutional, and HNI segment on the strength of our own distribution capabilities. Now coming to our results for the September quarter. Consolidated revenues for the quarter was 318 crores, up 46% year-on-year and up 19% on quarter-on-quarter basis. Let us first look at the numbers on a year-on-year basis. Brokerage income has increased 32% on a year-on-year basis, 143 crores versus 108 crores, and that is primarily driven by increase in trading activity and a rise in our average daily turnover. I'll talk more about that in the later part of my talk. Investment banking again has increased sharply by over 100% to hit 28 crores for this quarter against 12 crores for the last year same quarter. And distribution income, which is financial products distribution income, again rose 37% on a year-on-year basis. We are roughly doing a run rate of about 50 crores in this quarter, and primarily because of higher product sales. If you look at the quarter-on-quarter numbers, then brokerage income has increased 10%, 142 versus 130. Investment banking has increased 22% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, 29 crores versus 23 crores in the previous quarter of the same year. And financial products distribution income is more or less flat at same 50 crores range for the last 2 quarters. Other income at 20 crores, 19.39 crores to be precise, was up 11% on a quarter-on-quarter basis and 19% on year-on-year basis, primarily due to interest and treasury income. Coming to other expenses part of it, our employee expenses are up 14% quarter-on-quarter and 57% on a year-on-year basis, and that has primarily been driven by increase in headcount as well as increments as well as performance-linked variable pay. If you look at our employee count, the employee count was 2,376 in last quarter, in this quarter, sorry, and in the last quarter it was 2,136, and the same last year was 1,958. Finance cost was up 127% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, 123% on year-on-year basis to 30 crores, primarily because of increased borrowing for IPO funding. Admin expenses at 100 crores was up 16% quarter-on-quarter and 35% year-on-year, mainly because of increased sub-broker payouts as well as investments in technology costs as well as marketing and branding costs. Coming to our assets under management, assets under management and custody crossed 1 lakh crores. We are at about 1,17,993 crores as of September end. Our average daily turnover for last quarter was 67,564, which was split at 1,773 crores for cash and 65,791 in the derivative segment. The corresponding figures for Q1 FY22 was 52,791, and which was roughly 1,968 in cash and 50,823 crores in the derivative segment. We have invested quite a lot in technology platforms during the period, and account opening is now fully digitized. A large number of accounts have been used opening the EDIS non-PA route, and customer service is also digitized quite a lot by using voice and chatbots. New customer acquisition crossed 200,000 for the last quarter. With this, I come to the end of my talk, and all of us are available to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you very much for giving me a patient hearing.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may please press star, then 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star, then 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Anyone who wishes to ask questions, please press star, then 1. The first question is from the line of Prayesh Jain from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Hello. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, firstly, congratulations on a good set of numbers. Firstly, in terms of customer acquisitions, could you tell us about your customer acquisition costs? And secondly, also you could talk something about the market share trends in retail brokerage for you in both cash and F&O.
Okay. Now coming specifically to customer acquisition, as you know, we have a multi-channel, multi-prong approach for customer acquisition, which is a mix of direct sales force, relationship managers, as well as sub-brokers. And we also acquire customers through our gold loan branches. So if you look at our cost of acquisition, I think we are roughly in the range of about 1,000 to 1,200 for the last quarter. And your second question was related to market share, and I'll just give you the numbers for market share on a consolidated basis, on a total market basis, not retail, because you have to denominator the total exchange turnover. There, our cash market is about 2.69, which was last quarter at about 2.59, and F&O is broadly flat at 1.1.
Okay. And so when you talk about your customer acquisition cost being 1,000 to 1,200, what is the payback period for this?
See, actually, we believe that these customers give us a payback in about 15 to 18 months.
Okay. And what will be the activation rate?
See, if you look at our activation rate has actually improved. And the reason for the increase in the activation rate is a combination of, I guess, a good market sentiment, also We have made changes to our mobile app with a simpler login process. We have also had campaigns to increase downloads and launched new products like Well-Def and Small Case. A recent activity in IPOs also helped, and we launched an NCD which was in-house. That also helped. So effectively, our activation ratio, which was hovering at about 20-25%, has gone to about 40-45%.
Wow, that's great. Thank you so much. I'll come back in the queue if I have more questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Participants who would like to ask questions, please press star, then 1. The next question is from the line of Sahej Mittal from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Congratulations on a great set of numbers. Just a follow-up question. So you mentioned that your customer acquisition cost is in the range of 1,000 to 1,200 rupees, and the payback is 15 to 18 odd months. So if I do the calculation, the per month brokerage per customer comes at about 75 rupees. So that, kind of tells us that, the activity rate per customer is pretty low. Even at a 20 rupees per trade charge, this would not even translate to, more than 4 trades a month. So just wanted to confirm if these were the right numbers, or how should we look at it?
See, if you look at the numbers now, the way we look at it is that we have a cost of acquisition about 1,300 or say 1,000 rupees for the make for rounding off simplicity. And effectively what happens is that the average brokerage, what you're talking about, is roughly about 100 rupees. And I've given an estimate of about 18 months for break-even. And what happens typically is that if you have a large pool of customers, then obviously the averages work out like this. But we also hope to get some big hitters. So effectively it works out like that. So your guess is right that this is the average brokerage we make.
Mm-hmm. And sir, are there any initiatives which the company is taking to improve this ARPU per customer, which is significantly low at about 80 to 100 rupees? Are we doing anything?
Yeah, we have been trying to look at a number of measures in which we are hoping to improve our ARPU. And see, margin funding, once upon a time we had a big product in margin funding which has come down significantly. So funding products, then cross-sell products are two ways to improve our ARPU. And we are still taking baby steps in that, and our aim is to improve that over the days to come.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thank you, sir, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Akhil from Robo Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening. So I'm sorry, I just missed the market share for the cash segment. Could you tell me that number again?
Yeah, it is 2.69 for the last quarter. For this quarter, last quarter was 2.59. F&O is broadly at 1.1.
Right. Okay. And my next question is related to the Karvy acquisition of their Demat accounts. So what is the potential revenue that you would be able to, potential revenue that could come from this acquisition?
See, actually, if you look at it now, the way we are looking at it is that we have converted close to about 100,000 Karvy accounts, and we have got close to about 55-60,000 crores of assets. So our aim is to make sure that we sweat this asset effectively in the days to come. So I don't have a number in mind which I can talk about as a revenue upfront, but these are the numbers which I have, which I can share with you.
Okay, fine. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants who would like to ask questions, please press star, then 1. The next question is from the line of Prayesh Jain from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So when you talk about Karvy customer acquisition, which quarter do they appear in the customer acquisition trend? Or they're completely separate?
No, the Karvy, you are talking about the Karvy acquisition.
Yeah, Demat account acquisition. So when you show your customer acquisition chart, does it reflect in that, or these are only organic?
Yes. So 200 includes that 50,000 last quarter, and 150 also includes 50,000 for the previous quarter. So if you remove that, we were at about 100,000. That has bumped up to 150,000.
Okay. Got that. And secondly, on your distribution income, you mentioned that your distribution income was flattish on a sequential basis, right?
Yes.
But sir, in that sense, mutual fund ideally should have gone up because of the AUM trajectory that we have seen. Insurance also, sequentially in life as well as health, ideally should have been up. So what is the reason for being flattish in terms of distribution income?
What happens now, it is very difficult to say that for one or two products, because if you look at it, it was 12 crores which went to 21 crores. So yes, life insurance premium went up, but non-life also went up from 16 to 22. Mutual fund went up, but the other sale of other products came down. So because of which effectively it all offset each other and came to the same figure of 50.
Okay. And sir, ideally from a long-term perspective, what kind of revenue mix we should? Yeah.
Sorry, you're
saying. Go ahead, sir. No, I was saying from a long-term perspective, what kind of revenue mix you would be looking at, and how do you see the distribution income? At a point of time, India Infoline was, one of the largest distributors of insurance and mutual funds. So how do you see this trajectory going ahead?
See, actually, if you look at the one second, I'll just tell you. Historically, if you look at FPD now, you're right. Once upon a time, we were one of the largest distributors, but that was 10, 15 years ago. In 2008, we did almost 15% of ICICI through first-year premium. But those days are in history now. So if you look at it, our aim is to get a run rate of. See, we are doing it about 200 crores of third-party distribution products. Our aim is to grow this, because we think that this is a stable kind of business, unlike capital markets, which can be quite volatile.
Interesting.
Okay, but I want to use the relatively stable, huh?
Okay. And so, can you share any indication as to whether your retail market share has improved or declined? No numbers, but any sense as.
Look at our F&O market share. That is something which is remaining flat. It has not increased.
Okay.
And in cash also, in cash we have from last 2 quarters, but last quarter to this quarter we have managed to hold on.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for all that. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sahej Mittal from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
So just a follow-up on the Karvy bit, this question might sound a bit lame, but I wanted to understand the customers which we are acquiring. So are they opening the trading accounts with IIFL Securities, and what is the plan? How will we be generating the revenue from those customers? Will it be the demat fees, or what sort of income will accrue to IIFL Securities?
Yeah, I'm not able to give any forward-looking statement, but yes, you're right. It will be a combination of both demat account as well as trading accounts. So if you look at the retail part of it, we are converting the demat accounts into a broking account. So we will get a mixture of both.
And what number of accounts, what number of customers would have already opened the trading account, converted their trading account to IIFL Securities?
See, roughly, what the amount we gave is 1 lakh. So roughly 1 lakh customers have opened trading accounts.
Got it. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, please press star, then 1. The next question is from the line of Ashish Kapadia, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hi, would you be able to shed some light on the new subsidiary that's going to start business from next year, the Lifelong Protection and Wellness Solutions? What is the internal revenue target, and what are the margins? And effectively, shed some light on the business model as well, please.
See, that Live Long, which is a subsidiary, which is more to do with healthcare and other ancillary type of business. It's more like a customer engagement tool as a supplement to our insurance distribution business, and that was the intention of it. So it will be effectively trying to give value-added services to our customers who are buying life and health insurance with us. So as of now, it'll be a more like customer engagement initiative. So the numbers the revenue targets are quite minuscule.
So do you see that as a profit center or a cost center? Because I think it sounds like a cost center and a profit center to me.
We hope that we don't bleed in that, but our aim is to improve persistency, health, in customer engagement and things like that.
Right. That's it for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, please press star, then 1. Anyone who wishes to ask questions, please press star, then 1. Participants who would like to ask questions, please press star, then 1. The next question is from the line of Pranay Javeri from J&J Holdings. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for this opportunity. If you can just throw some light on the resale of the properties which we were planning, and is there anything on the drawing board currently? Thank you.
No. Thank you so much. But we have been continuously reducing our exposure to real estate. So as we speak right now, we have got it down to about 6 lakh square feet of office space, and so now the big office space is there in Chennai, which is about 2,50,000. That is our and others and Bombay big offices are there, which we hope to retain, and all the smaller offices we are in plan to sell. I think beginning of the year it was about 700,000.
634.
634. But high value item. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, please press star, then 1. Anyone who wishes to ask questions, please press star, then 1. Anyone who wishes to ask questions, please press star, then 1. The next question is from the line of Prayesh Jain from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
So I just wanted to pick your brains on the overall scenario in the industry where discount broking companies are gaining market share in terms of both client acquisitions as well as in the F&O business, where the option trading volumes are surging through the roof for them. So in that scenario, how does a traditional broker like us, compete against them, and so how would you stand against them in this kind of scenario?
It's actually a very interesting question, because if you look at it, the entire growth is happening in the discount or the flat brokerage space, and but we think that there's an opportunity for both full service brokerage as well as a discount broker. And if you look at it, a large segment of the population, which are the so-called millennials and trading aggressively options. And this was one segment actually we missed out in the past. And if you had asked me whether I could have foreseen that options volumes, especially Nifty options, will be about 98% of total exchange volumes, I would concede that I never expected such a situation, because this entire market, if you look at it, is predicated on a huge amount of derivatives trading. So we, as an organization, if you remember many years ago, many quarters ago, all of you asked, what was the rationale for 5 paisa? And that was a precise reason why we did 5 paisa split, because that's a discount broking company, and world over discount broking activity is done by a separate corporate activity, and it has not been done by a full service as an SBU. So we also offer a flat brokerage system, and but we believe that there is a market for full service broker. And although it won't be a game of getting market share at low brokerages, but our aim is to have a loyal set of clients who have some kind of mass affluent service expectations.
Okay. So the question is also coming from the fact that, these discount brokers, when we talk to them, they indicate that, their business model now being a flat fee model is quite protected in terms of cyclicality, given that even in terms of downturn, generally, while people will generally reduce the turnover or reduce the volumes that they would be doing, but the number of trades might not be impacted materially. So in that sense, their revenue might more or less be protected even in terms of a market fall. But if we charge a percentage fee, that would be linked to the total value of the transaction. So how would you counter that?
See, I think the bulk of the volume which is happening in options, there people are buying and selling because we have had a very sanguine or a very good market for the last 12 months. So if the market turns bad, and my guess is that the number of orders will also get affected, although it's anybody's guess or anybody's word against that. So in a situation like that, having other products like distribution, I would think will help us to cushion the decline in broking volumes. But it is, as you say, it's like unprecedented, uncharted territories. So it's very difficult for me to make a statement. My guess is that we would see some kind of decline in trading volumes, including trading number of traded orders.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Karthikeyan from Suyash Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Can you talk a bit about the kind of fintechs you would be looking to invest in with IIFL Finance through that AI group? There was a proposal that was made. Some thoughts on what kind of companies you are looking at and how do you see that impacting the business for you?
See, the fintech fund which we had launched was targeted to invest in companies where we have a role to play in the entire fintech ecosystem. So there we are not only looking at broking related entities but also finance, NBFC kind of entities. So we have made one investment in Trendline. That is more to do with research, content and information providing, or including. I think they are taking first baby steps to become a robo advisory platform. Then we invested in I think Finbox, which was for lending scorecards and credit process flows. And there was a Legality which was into digital signatures. And so these are the kind of entities we are looking to invest. So if you have any good ideas, share with us.
Sure. The other thing was on the employee cost of 75 crores for the quarter. How much of that would have been variable, in the sense, so what part of it is fixed and what part of it is variable?
See, my guess is a big portion of that will be fixed, and the variable component will be about 6, I think. 20, roughly 80-20 rule will be there.
Okay, sure. Thank you and best wishes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sahej Mittal from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Sir, thanks for the opportunity again. Wanted to, get a sense from you. Recently, Upstox has, started charging 20 rupee fee on the delivery trades as well, despite being a discount fintech broker. So what are your thoughts, going forward, given that the prices are already at, the rock bottom? So what are your thoughts? Can we see a price hike across brokers, or given that these are deep-pocketed brokers, they will not be, taking a price hike?
Actually, that's a very interesting question. So I just want to, on a very lighter note.
And sir, also that, 5 paisa was initially charging 10 rupees and then they started charging 20 rupees.
Yeah, I know that. So I just want to tell you that when I started my career as a retail broker many years ago, we started 5 paisa when we started 5 basis points. And at that time, I thought that 5 basis points is very low, and then it became 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I thought, okay, 1 basis point is there, now we have reached bottom. So there is and then, I was pleasantly surprised or shocked, I don't know, when the rates even fell even more. So to answer your question, to give a short answer to your question is that whether I expect brokerage rates to go up, I will not hazard a guess like that. I think at least for the short term, rates will remain low. So I'm not confident that the brokers will unite and there will be an uptick in the brokerage rates.
Sounds interesting. Okay. That would be all from my end, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Saurabh Dhole from Trivantage Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir, good evening and congratulations for great set of numbers.
Thank you.
Yeah, a couple of questions, sir. Firstly, could you explain exactly what's happened on the distribution side, because we are gaining very strong traction on that front.
See, on the distribution side, what is happening is that our income has now become 50 crores, and that is primarily driven because of sale of AIF NCDs. Because if you see, last 2 quarters we had 2 NCDs from the group companies, and where we garnered large number of resources. So it's a mixture of sale of. Basically, we are trying to cross sell other non-broking related products, and we are seeing traction on that.
Okay, so on AIF PMS also you would have similar kind of fee income when compared to plain vanilla mutual funds.
No. AIF and PMS have better fee structures than plain vanilla mutual funds.
Okay. And sir, this other question was on the interest income. I think there was a very sharp jump. I don't know if
that is primarily because of IPO funding. If you see, last quarter had huge number of IPOs.
Okay. And sir, how big is the margin funding book today?
Very small. It is 177 crores to be very precise.
Okay, and that doesn't get counted in this IPO funding book, is it?
No, that is separate. IPO is episodic. जब IPO होता तो we make.
Right. Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, please press star, then 1.
If nobody has any question, thank you so much for joining us on the call today, and wish all of you a very happy Diwali and best wishes for a glorious new year, and may all the bulls be with us. And if you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to Anup, and we'll be more than glad to answer any questions that you have. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of IIFL Securities, that concludes this conference. We thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.